Hi, and welcome to Shhh the Talk Show. Did you know that when you watch the ads that pre-roll in completion before the episode, it helps us generate funding for our show? If you like what we do and you'd like to support us, please subscribe and share the channel with everyone you know. You can also continue learning about the subjects that we discuss by reading our column in the Sunday morning newspaper. This has been something very important to a lot of ladies in Sri Lanka. Sexual harassment in the workplace.
So he was not letting me go, he was trying to keep me to the wall, he was trying to seduce me, and I was like, oh my god, and I was staring down.
So I said, have a safe flight. When I was getting down from the car, I said, have a safe flight, and he's like, we're an office.
And I turned into him, he jumped in on me. He jumped in on me and put in his hand like,
what is wrong with Sri Lankan men?
So there's a fear in telling your parents, telling your relationship, the person who's involved with you.
My name is not baby, my name is not sweetheart, my name is not darling.
Sometimes the ego is much bigger than body parts.
Hi, welcome to Shhh the Talk Show. Welcome back. This has been something very important to a lot of ladies in Sri Lanka who are trying to be professional career women, who want a job in this country. Sexual harassment, and not just sexual harassment. I know sexual harassment is a big problem in this country, but sexual harassment in the workplace. Today we are having this program, this conversation in what I think is an ideal space. We're talking about sexual harassment in the workplace, and we're doing it at a co-working space called The Office. What better way to talk about workplace harassment than The Office. The Office is a really cool space. If you come here, you see it's really chilled out. You can actually hire out the space, especially if you're a woman out there who wants to do her own thing, a woman entrepreneur out there. I think they have a lot of people who hire out the space here. It's nice, it's professional, it's quiet in Colombo 3, and you feel really posh working here actually. So thank you to Nevindi for coming on board, thank you to Uliana for being here as well. In Sri Lanka, a lot of girls don't know that they're being sexually harassed. They're uncomfortable, it annoys them, obviously it affects their minds, it affects their careers, but they don't know that they have a way out. In this country, we have very robust laws when it comes to women's rights. Our penal code actually does identify sexual harassment as a crime, and anyone in a workplace, whether it's a person of authority or a colleague, if they are found guilty of sexual harassment, you can go into prison for 5 years, or you can have a hefty fine, or you might have to actually do both, prison as well as the fine. So it depends on the nature of the crime. But sexual harassment in itself is criminal in this country.
I started working with Sri Lanka because once I came with my friends to Ayurveda hotel, and I really liked that concept. So I was thinking, why to not sell these things for Russians, because they like all these beauty things, and Ayurveda apparently helps to lose the weight and like a lot of beauty benefits for women. So I started that, and while traveling first time, while we've been in Ayurveda hotel, I've been with my friend, she's a travel agent. So she introduced me to some man here, so I'll not tell his name. So he runs his own company. So he was the one who was partnering with that company of my friend and arranged that trip for us. So she said, you can continue with him for your business. So I spoke with this man and I said, okay, we'll go ahead. We even signed the contract. So I sent my contract to him to Sri Lanka. He replied with all the signatures, everything. And we arranged like trip around Sri Lanka to inspect Ayurveda hotels. So to see and sign contracts with each of them. What happened, close to the date when we supposed to go, he said, okay, no problem, I'll go with you, I'll stay with you in one room. Like, okay, it isn't...
Why?
Cool.
Because there wasn't enough budget?
And, no, first of all, he was actually flirting with my friend. And he was saying the story that he's 40 years old, he's not married yet, and because he's taken care of his mother, and all these things like that. So, yeah, and I was like feeling bad. No, first of all, I mean, there's 3 reasons. He's not the man I could like at any point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing, he know my friend.
Yeah.
And another thing, that is a job.
Yes.
So generally, we don't have that culture
Yeah.
of the accommodating these things during the business,
Yes.
because it ruins business. So I said, see, it's not possible. So if you want to go with me, it's not a problem. But we're gonna stay in the different rooms. He's like, no, dear, but this is like that. This is the culture. This is a Sri Lankan.
The Sri Lankan culture is
Sri
to
Lankan
sleep with your business
hospitality.
partner.
Exactly.
Right.
But he's like, no worry, we will be in the different beds.
Oh, please. Okay.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry. Okay, no problem, but I can't do that. So we will go ahead with the rules I have, or we will not go ahead. He's like, no problem, and he disappeared.
Okay.
So I was thinking that he agreed with me. So before going to Sri Lanka, I texted to him. I said, is it all fine? Is all hotels booked, transport booked? And I also booked for some clients with him for like arrival couple of days later. She's like, yeah, no worry, you come. I'm coming to airport, midnight. There's no one meeting me. And that time I didn't speak English, right? So my English was on the level of, hi, how are you? My name is, I'm from Russia, right? So I'm in the middle of the airport. There's no one there. So I'm somehow like contacting another travel agent who was texting me also before. He arranging the taxi and he checking my hotels. Basically all my hotels was cancelled like 2 days prior my arrival. So bookings was there and this man, he cancelled it.
Because you refused to sleep in a room with him.
If I actually didn't have a plan B of the another travel agent, I could be in the middle of the airport. So, and the same he done for my clients as well. So I already checked, so transfer was cancelled. So my clients was supposed to be left alone in the airport. So this was case number one, when I was quite disappointed. I don't want to say that another travel agent who was helping me after that was also texting me, baby, I like you so much. And he was married also. Yeah.
I'm really sorry that, first of all, on behalf of Sri Lankans, I have to apologize. I'd like to say that there are men in Sri Lanka who are not like that. Unfortunately, there's a majority who just give us a bad name, right? Bad prawns. Any woman who has had any form of career or working life has been through multiple accounts. So I'm going to talk about what happened to me. And I've had these experiences many times. But the first one was where I didn't know that it was sexual harassment until much later in life, right? The first job I got outside was, I was doing marketing and I had applied for a marketing job at a financial company, a leading, rather big financial institution. And I got an interview for a marketing position as a marketing executive, and I went for that interview, and of course it was exciting because it was my first official professional interview, right? I didn't know how those things even worked. So went for it, and I went for the interview. I was interviewed in a room with 2 gentlemen there, and of course I was on my best behavior. I was dressed up and all of that. But then when I went for the interview, I realized that I felt very small in the waiting room, right? Because people with experience, people from other companies who had marketing executive experience and stuff. So I didn't feel very confident, but I went into this room and there was these 2 guys who were interviewing me, and it was for one of their departments, right? So they're like, so what's your name, where are you from? And then they were asking questions, and I had gone prepared for things like, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, or something job related, what do you know about the company? But it was all very personal, the questions they were asking, like, so do you have a boyfriend? And I was very young, so I didn't know whether this is, and these are the bosses, I need to get hired, right? So I was like, no, I don't have a boyfriend. And they were like, oh, you're too pretty, why don't you have a boyfriend? Which at that point I was too naive to know it's inappropriate for them to ask me those things. So I also answered, and I said, I don't know, I don't have a boyfriend. And I thought, oh, they're putting me at ease, I'm feeling so comfortable, how nice of them and all of that. So I was also laughing along with them. And I didn't realize that those were inappropriate. I thought they were trying to put me at ease, right? And then, so that interview was all about, do you go partying? Do you like to party? I was like, no, my father doesn't let me go out at night and haha. And they were like, oh, well, now you're going to be a working girl. You're in an office. You know, we have parties and all that. If you want to be part of like a working girl and all that, you know, the company has functions, you'll have to go. And I was trying to get the job, okay, honestly. So I was like, yeah, that's not a problem. I've like, it's my, and then they were like, you know, but sometimes you'll have to go around with us and all that. Are you okay with that? So I was like, yeah, I don't know what this job is all about even, right? Marketing is you gotta, you know, present yourself, you gotta make people happy, you know, you gotta show us that, you know, you can convince us that we should hire you.
Yeah.
So I'm in that room and I'm like, yeah, you should hire me because I'm really enthusiastic and I'll do whatever it takes for the job. And they're like, whatever it takes. And it's like, whatever it takes. In my mind, in my 20-year-old mind, it was, I will do my job as much as I can to do this, you know. But I didn't realize what they meant by it. Anyway, long story short, I got the job. And I was so happy. And my parents had told me things like, they're so proud of me because I got it on my merit. I didn't have to pull strings or some uncle didn't have to connect me with a company. Then I started working under one of these guys, right? So I was in his department. I was a junior executive in his department. And he used to be very nice. And I used to think, oh, he's so nice, you know, he's so friendly.
Yeah.
He used to tell me to come early before working hours, to come in the morning, and he used to chat, you know, about home. And then he started texting, you know, after work. I used to get texts from him, and he was married. I knew he was married. I knew he had 2 kids. So there was no reason for me not to trust him. I did not have a concept of mistrusting men at that time because I was very naive and I felt very safe around him. So I used to get text messages and it was all very personal, nothing sexually inappropriate, but it was like a friend. And I used to think I'm so lucky. I have like a boss who's like really nice to me. Then those text messages started, you know, going into evening time, where night time he used to like, so what are you doing? And he used to just be very overly friendly. Then one day he told me where there's this party happening. And a couple of us from office, and there were like other colleagues that he mentioned, people that I was friendly with in office, they're all coming. Shall we go for the party? I'll pick you up. Because it was out of Colombo, it was in Negombo, he said, right? And he said, so I was like, okay. Or I can come with one of them. He's like, no, I'm passing your house anyway, I'll pick you up, we go for the party. They're all coming. You know, but then some people aren't coming, so some people aren't invited, so don't talk about it. Don't, because you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. So I was like, stupid Shanuki. Say, okay. And he actually came to my house, he picked me up. I introduced him to my mother saying, this is my boss. And then we went, and it would have been like about 7:30, 8 in the night when we got there, dark. And we went to this location. It was an old house. I didn't know where we were going, right? Boss, he knew where the party was. I hadn't spoken to anybody about it. I assumed all my colleagues were going to be there. We went, and it was this plot of land and this old house, which was dark. It was in complete darkness. There was nobody there. It was just shut down. And I was like, where's the party? And he's like, shall we go in and look? At that point, I was like, no. I don't like darkness. Not that I had any reason to mistrust him, but I said, no, I don't think anybody has come. I think the party is cancelled. Can you call and find out? And he was like, no, come in. They must be at the back. They must be at the back. And I said, no, I don't think this is the right place. And I was starting to feel a little nervous. He's like, no, they're here. They're supposed to be here. So it's like, okay, shall we wait here? Because we were parked on the side of the road. I just felt a little unsafe at that point, and I was like, I don't think anybody's coming. Can we go home? It's getting late because my father wanted me to come home by 9 o'clock, and it was already 8 o'clock. I was like, I want to go home. And he's like, okay, so you're working now, you're 21, what is this? And then he put me in the car, and he took me home, and then he's like, yeah, maybe they have changed the location, or maybe they didn't come. I don't know what's wrong with these guys. They haven't confirmed, blah, 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 blah. And when he took me home and when he dropped me home, I said, thanks, And I still thought everybody's let us down, nobody's turned up for the party and nobody's told us. Ha ha, the party's been cancelled, nobody told us, how dare they, kind of thing. And then when he dropped me, he was going abroad, right? 2 days later or something, or the next day or whatever, he was supposed to go abroad on a work visit, he said. So he's like, so I said, have a safe flight. When I was getting down from the car, I said, have a safe flight. And he's like, well, no kiss to say bye. I was like, you're my boss. Because I was a child then. And I was like, you're my boss. And he was like, yeah, one kiss on the cheek is okay. I was like, yeah, I don't like that, no. On Monday, when I went back to work, this guy had absconded the country. Right, he's actually defrauded. There was this massive case, everything was in a kerfuffle, and I was wondering what was going on when I walked into office. And then like everybody, and the story was that he had stolen money from the company and he had left the country with his family and he was MIA and the police were investigating it. So the police wanted to talk to me because I was his junior. They asked me questions like, has he ever said any of these things to you? Has he taken you anywhere? Has he? And I'm like, oh crap. And then the person who replaced him over the next couple of weeks, there was another person put in charge of the department. There was this whole investigation and all that going on. They called me up and they had this talk to me saying, you should have never been hired because there were so many people who were more qualified for this job. Do you know why you were hired? Because he liked the way you looked and he thought he could, and I just felt this small at that point. And it was the first experience of realizing, oh my God, all these things that he had been saying to me, of all these gestures, all these moves he was making, that I was completely naive to the fact that any of this was inappropriate. Because I had never been taught about it, which is what happens to girls in this country.
Yeah, I think after my, let's say after 2-3 years of working in the field, like for events and all, I got a advertising job where I was a marketing executive. I was like ready to work late hours. It was like sometimes, some days you have to work for 2-3 hours more just to get the project done. The creative team was like all young people, like the guys and all, they were like, be careful of the boss balagena, and was like, be careful, he's a bit of a flirt. So I was telling my boyfriend, this boss is like always calling me and telling me, are you not coming? So if I'm like 1 minute late, he's like picking on me saying, oh, you're late. So it's just 1:08. Like I'm just stepping in. So time goes on. So one day I was there for like late night work, and all the other guys are not there. But the working person, the peon, we don't call him, we call him uncle. So uncle was there. He was like, Miss Innavada, like, are you there? I was like, yes, I'm there. I'll be working. And then, so my boss, so-called boss, called me inside his room, his office room. He was like, can you sit? I was like, yeah. Okay, so he told my name. Are you okay? I was like, yeah. So are you leaving us anytime soon? I was like, no. Okay, why were you looking on the jobs website? I was like, no, I was just, I was doing something, so, which means he was keeping an eye on me from the time I joined. And I was like, okay. He gave me his hand. He was like, can you relax my fingers? I was like, what? I didn't know. No, just do it. I was like, I didn't know. I honestly didn't know. I felt so uncomfortable.
Yeah, no,
I got the feeling it's not right. But okay, it's the job. So he gave me his fingers. He's like in Sinhala, he said, Nangili Adin. I was like, this really happened to me. I was like, shit, I don't know what to do. Just sit. I was like, okay, I was shivering to death now, right? I had to do it. Okay, I didn't let him touch me, but he just gave me his fingers. He's like, no, go ahead, do it. And then the next time, the second time after a few weeks, he called me to the room, the office room. He was like, okay, what you can do is, can you like get me a tissue paper from the bathroom? So I went into the bathroom and I was like, okay, I grabbed it, and when I turned back, he was just right there. It was like a movie for me. I was like, shit, what am I supposed to do? So he was not letting me go. He was trying to keep me to the wall. He was trying to seduce me, and I was like, oh my God. And I was staring down. And
that's beyond sexual harassment. That is actually molestation.
Yeah, I was like, shoot, what am I going to do? I was like maybe around 19 years old.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do. I mean, just like that. I said, Mr. So-and-so, I'm going to go right now. I took my bags. I said to myself, this is my last day at work. I don't care about my salary. You can fly. Thankfully, he didn't do anything to me, like, how do you
But
say?
he could have.
It could have led to something, but I didn't know what to do. I was like really in tears. I didn't know what to say to my boyfriend. I thought he might leave me if I say this to him.
Yeah.
So there's a fear in telling your parents, telling your relationship, the person who's involved with you. Yeah.
If at any point anyone in your workplace has made you feel uncomfortable, and if you feel like you've been sexually harassed, it is not your fault. Sometimes women blame themselves a lot, right? It happens that sometimes the perpetrator turns it around, saying, well, you led me on, you gave me signals, or maybe the way you were dressed in office, maybe you are promiscuous outside, maybe you have a reputation. Forget all of that. If you're a man and I can come on to you, I can give you winks, but if you come at me without me saying okay, then I shouldn't be winking at you to start with without you being okay with it. But it doesn't give you the right to come and touch me or do anything or get any idea that I am free for you unless I have specifically told you.
So one of the staff, it was a lawyer, right? Sri Lankan lawyer. So I'm also a lawyer, so I used to work in police as well before, like for 4 years. And I was thinking the best way to do the business here is to talk with lawyer. Yeah, so I asked for recommendation. He was older than me, like maybe for 2-3 years, and he is working in the courts as well. So he's not like some small person or something. I knew that he is married, that he have a child. So we spoke. I paid him money for consultation, and I given him my Skype because he wanted to do some other consultation as well. For us, it's absolutely normal practice. We give him the WhatsApp, we give him the Skype. Then he started calling me. So that time I wasn't in Sri Lanka yet. I was going here and there. So sometimes I stay in here, sometimes in Russia. So he used to call me, and in the beginning he was okay. So he was dressed properly, and we was talking business. Then what started to happen? He started to sit topless. And then he started saying, you see, I'm actually divorcing with my wife, so I stay in separated room. That's why I'm so unlucky man. So it was continuing like that till basically I stopped all these things because he started showing his down part of himself. So that was the moment I stopped talking. I realized that it's something not about the law. So
it's actually against the law. Mr. Lawyer, you should know better.
Actually, the funny thing, I got to know that while he was actually showing me all these things and trying to be saying that he divorcing and staying separate, his wife was on the last months of pregnancy.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
This is the thing. So he was doing that during she was pregnant, and that's why she was staying separated, because she was finding difficult to stay with him.
Wow.
So it's how ugly it is, right? Then I had a case, I had a business dinner.
Okay.
So in Russia we have a business dinners, right? So even in other countries, it's okay. You can go, you can sit, you can have a coffee, you can have a chat and go. So the same thing happened. We went to Mount Lavinia in one of these beach restaurants. We had a chat about transportation because that person, he had some of the vehicles, minivans and everything for the tours. So we spoke, and he's like, shall I drop you to the Gold Road? Just for you to not walk through the dark part. Like, okay, drop me. I entered to the car. He made a lock, like this general lock.
Wow.
And it was quite dark, so in Mount Lavinia, basically that area of the railway. And I just bite the lock, and I turn into him. He jumped in on me. He jumped in on me and put in his hand like somewhere. No, I'm a little bit automatically reacting because I'm used to work in police, so
you used to work in, of course, like you. Oh, I love this, Uliana. Yes, I forgot you were in law enforcement. You were a lawyer.
I was 4 years in police and anti-drug department. So anyway, so I'm kind of hit him.
Wrong person to mess with.
Like a little bit like that and a little bit like that. So
just a little bit. You should have hit him a lot.
I don't know, because
Yeah.
his nose was bleeding, right?
Very
so
good.
when I turned at him, this blood was coming into
I'd like to say violence is not the
white,
answer, but in this case.
Yeah.
shirt. He's like, so he said me a lot of not nice words. So then I got scared, because basically he's anyway bigger than me. So
Yeah.
if he will hit back, I don't have a chance. So I started playing the girl role. So I started crying. Like, so he got scared. So he's like wiping the blood from his nose. I'm like loudly crying on the side. So he removed the, I said, just open the lock. So he opened the lock. I jumped out of the car and I ran just on the street towards the Gold Road.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he started calling me, texting me and saying that he fallen in love with me because I hit him. I don't know what's wrong.
We have that situation here.
Yeah, so this business dinner thing, I mean, what is wrong with Sri Lankan men? Anyway, okay. People hire women into marketing and client servicing positions sometimes simply based on the fact that they're sexy or they're good looking or they've got like, they can charm clients, and because the clients are male. What we are doing is, as a corporate industry, we are also feeding this problem. We're feeding this problem where we are encouraging this behavior in men who don't know where the boundaries are, the lines of, you know, what constitutes of appropriate and not. They assume, okay, so this is why, and companies need to take onus for this as well. You hire women with the intention of keeping it sweet with the client. So she's asked to take them out for drinks. She's asked to meet them for coffees. Sometimes clients have approached me, and I was never in one of those agencies where I was ever asked to entertain any clients, and I never did. Right? I absolutely never said, let's meet up outside the office. It was always only business meetings. But my God, how many men have asked me, so come, let's have a coffee sometimes, why don't we have dinner? And this is even after I started running companies or I started leading companies, you know, where they thought it was perfectly fine simply because I didn't have a penis and I had boobs instead. And what I hate is in the workplace, right, in the workplace itself, you have men that you work with who feel perfectly comfortable calling you things like sweetheart, darling, baby, oh, you're looking sexy today. These are also, guys, these are signs of sexual harassment. My name is not baby, my name is not sweetheart, my name is not darling, and I have not given you permission to do that. And then they touch you, or you know, they'll come and stroke your arm, you're looking sexy today. That I've had people above me, male people in authority, who I work with, oh Shanuki, you're looking sexy today. That was not appropriate. You are not my friend, you are not my boyfriend, you are not my brother to be saying things like that. My God, my brother would be caught dead calling me sexy. But that is not called for. Even if you're colleagues, it doesn't give you the right to say things like that if you know this is not professional conduct and if you know that it is not with her consent, right? When your colleagues send you inappropriate text messages in the middle of the night, sometimes it's far too friendly. They share pornographic material, which is completely unnecessary. The baby, the darling, the touching is the invitations to come out for a coffee, come out for dinner, let's hang out, blah, blah, blah. You can do that as a team, as an office team. There's no need for a man and a woman unless they are mutually interested in each other to do those things. And then guys who create jokes, you know, you get like, they talk about girls, badua, kal, like we are inanimate objects without feelings or humanness about us. So they talk about women like that, ara badu, ara kal, and they create these inappropriate jokes like
it's
about
like we are objectified.
About the boobs, about the butt, how she's looking sexy, how we can see the legs, oh, you should dress like this every day, and making all these jokes and comments. But when you are uncomfortable, the problem is in Sri Lanka, when we turn around and say that's not cool, we can't take a joke. We're bitches. Or you know, what are you getting so upset for? Many we were just joking, like this is the way they get away with it, and we let them. We let them because we've created a culture in workplaces that it's okay for boys to be boys But my God, if the girl is uncomfortable, she just doesn't belong here. She's too much of a prude. She's too much of a, she's got something stuck up, that's, and women feel so, they feel scared or shy or ashamed of being uncomfortable with it. Because you think you'll be cornered in office, you'll be noted for being a prude, or that you will be unpopular if you don't get along. And women also use sexual harassment of, they know that they can be inappropriate because they are the girl, they can act innocent about it, right? Which is also not right. It happens in both ways, right? Like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. And the problem is that men don't get offended when women come and like rub on it, and they're like happy, most of them.
There are a lot of situations happening in local like government offices also, like parents like late 30s, 40s women, like they go out with their bosses to hotels, like I've seen, because I've been to a lot of hotels, afternoon times to do location visits.
Because here's the thing though, because it's not only in government offices, yes, it happens a lot in government offices, but everywhere where you are intimidated by the boss also because you are scared of losing your job. And there are times when if they know that they're being inappropriate, and if you don't agree to what they're asking from you, or if you don't go along with it, they actually hint at you that that you need this job, or they threaten you that they can fire you, or they can ruin your image in the industry. They can make sure you never get hired again, and that happens so often in this country. It's just, and the texting thing, and even Facebook, right? That if your colleagues are on social media, you have no right in a professional environment. You have no right to be commenting on what they do in their private life or what they do in their personal life. If they've chosen to share certain things on social media, doesn't mean you bring it to work and go, oh, I saw you in that bikini yesterday. Wow, like you look good, your body's hot. And then you send, hi dear, hi dear, hi dear, dear. How many dears do you want, like before you get the idea that I'm not interested, leave me alone. It's absolute disrespect. And another thing about sexual harassment, it doesn't have to be vulgar, but sometimes just being dismissed because of your sex. That discrimination is also part of the disrespect. Oh, she's a girl, so her voice doesn't matter. In a meeting, if you have a meeting, the boys club is there, they're ho 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 and cracking jokes about women, cracking inappropriate things, talking about women in a very derogatory way. You're supposed to sit there and wait and listen to it because the fact that you are a woman in the room doesn't matter.
So I faced like a recent experience maybe a year ago. I had to leave the job that I loved to do. I mean, I loved my event management job. So there was a boss back then. He was my direct reporting boss. He was actually hanging around with all the women in the company. Like, I'm not criticizing the women. I mean, some women, they were bound to do it because of money and increments and whatnot. But for me, I never, wanted any. I wanted increments, but I didn't want to go through him and get it. I mean, I was never comfortable in getting anything through sexual, favors. So I was, so I told him, I want to do this. I want to, bring in new propositions to this event management company, and I do a lot of late night work. He knows that. So I was working late night at the office, and he could see the camera. Like I was there. He was like, he called me. He was like, Nevindi, what are you doing? I was like, I'm working right now. What's up? Okay, so can you come to this place after work? I mean, let's have a chat. So I thought it's event management based, and I was like, okay, maybe let's chat. So I thought to myself, no. I thought to myself, no, I'm not going to go. I mean, he can have a chat maybe later. So it led to a point where I had to leave the office. One thing is because of him, because he harassed me to an extent, like, he was like, whenever he saw me, he gave me all these weird looks, and he was like, I'm going to make sure if you don't sleep with me, I'm going to make sure you're going to leave this company. So I was there for 3 years, and he started doing it towards the end of the third year, like the 2.5 year. So I felt like, okay, I'm not going to stand this. So I told the other managing directors that this is happening, and they were like, we know that this is happening. I think the best thing is for you to leave, Nevindi. So they asked me to leave, and I'm like, there were other problems as well, which I really don't want to tell about. And, to know that a woman is helpless.
Yeah.
At that point where the heads of the company is asking you to leave.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the only job. I have this and this commitment. I have my family to take care of. So what do you think a woman can do to do this? Like, the best thing was I quit. He disconnected my number even before quitting. He disconnected everything, but they paid me, like they paid me.
But that also happens, right? If you actually come out with a complaint, and if you actually pluck up the guts because you know these are your rights, and you complain, and the company decides that it's better for the company's corporate image and reputation to keep this low, they don't want it getting out anywhere, you know, so it's better, the least irritating and the least I think the most convenient thing for them is to get rid of the girl but not the perpetrator. So then he is around to do this to whoever he wants. He has this sense of impunity, sometimes because he's management, he's in a senior position, so it's easier for them to get rid of the junior than the senior. And I mean, the corporate world needs to grow some balls, and I hate to use that term because it's male terminology, but that seems to be the only way we connect courage is with balls. But I would say grow a vagina, right? And I think a lot of companies now are improving this game. At least a lot of private companies, a lot of well-known organizations have very robust sexual harassment policies. I don't think a lot of the staff know that sometimes. They have HR policies on sexual harassment. Any inappropriate, either in word, physical, verbal or non-verbal action or gesture or sentiment that causes discomfort to an individual of the opposite sex, and that can be female to female, even it can be even in homosexual cases. You know how, like, if you have gay people working with you, they ponnya and you know, samanalaya and this and that kind of thing is also sexual harassment. It's not about going and pinching a woman on her boobs, it is actually being sexually offensive towards someone. So companies actually have these policies, and the company should make an investment or make an effort to build the confidence of their staff, to let them know that they are in a safe space. You should have the belief in your company that your company will take appropriate action, and HR departments are trained to do this, right? They're trained to do it they're trained to investigate in a very non-dramatic, sort of a very confidential way, so that it doesn't create more problems for you. They do investigate, they do check into things, and if there is evidence, there is things from warnings to termination depending on the nature of the incident. But I think companies also in Sri Lanka, whether it's big companies, small companies, even if you're running a home business, you need to put these things in place, because you need women to make this country function, and you need women to feel safe. You need women to use their skills and their talents and not to hold themselves back because they think that they are in danger. You cannot blame the victim for something that happened, or you cannot get rid of the victim because it's easier for your corporate. Women out there in Sri Lanka need to know that if ever you are unfair, it's called unfair dismissal, like in the courts of law. If you feel that you are unfairly dismissed over a sexual harassment case where you were not the one at fault, make sure you're not the one at fault, because they also can create evidence against you if you have been party to it. But if you know that you have been unfairly dismissed, you can actually take your company to courts, you can sue.
I had here a case where a man was also, it was connected to some like professional event business. He was texting me different messages in the nights on all these things, and then he was offering me to come to his house and everything. He's the owner of big thing, right? So I couldn't really be rude to him, there was no one above him. So what did I do? Basically, I invited him for the personal meeting. I invited him for coffee. I sit with him in front of him and I said, okay, you sending me that messages, you calling me. I very much respecting you as a business person. I want to be with you in the business. I absolutely not interested in these things. So if you want to work with me, this is the things I can work with. But if not, I'm not that type of woman to go for that. So for me, I prefer you respect me, then you have with me something after that and never respect me after. I want things to be professional and I want your respect. I put it that way to him, right? He was kind of shocked, but at the same time when I said that I am very much valuing his respect, he was a little bit like proud of himself, right? So it's like a little bit manipulation of his ego. After that, he never harassed me.
When you talked about manipulation of ego, I think when it comes to sexual harassment in the workplace, sometimes that is also something, especially bosses and all do, they promise you promotions. You know, you do this for me, scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. And they start treating you like a favorite. They start treating you, oh, like you're so good, Nevindi, and oh my God, you blah, blah, blah. He's coming on to you, but you think, okay, this is one way of getting up that ladder.
So you can use that manipulation another way. You basically can manipulate your boss and saying that you see.
No, I don't think it's right.
Can. Why not? Why you can't say him that you respect him as a professional?
Oh no, that is fine.
From him the same respect.
You can massage their ego and like get into that discussion.
You don't have to massage his body parts. You can massage something else. Sometimes the ego is much bigger than body parts.
Well done.
And it's like, so if you really want to be that professional, once you got this education and that confidence that it is not right, you don't have to come and say, oh my God, you harassing me, I'm leaving the company. You say like, see, I really, really respect you as a professional. I have super professional qualities. I'm sure you have enough money to hire someone who will massage your hands. I'm sure you have. So they like to feel that they have enough money. So I'm sure you can see in me much better things than just massaging. So can you please use me for the things which is really needed for your work, for my professional qualifications, right? For my professional duties. And I'm sure we can be the good team because I respect you, you are cool, you respect me, I am cool.
That's great.
But you hire someone who will massage you, whatever. Like that, they sometimes feel more happy with their ego. They not feel that they are offended, and they are too simple to understand that you are manipulating them. So,
but I think as the world progresses, if we have more women in leadership positions, these are things that can change in companies as well. Right now, we don't have enough females in positions of seniority to make those changes. But when you have equality on your boards of management, you have equality in terms of what your policies are as a company and the protection you offer to women. And I do think that if there are women leaders out there, they also need to be very, very forceful in making these changes in their company, because just like they have had privilege and safety to get to where they are, that opportunity needs to be given to the women who are working under them. Until we have an ideal world where everyone feels safe, equally valued and equally respected, and we can be professional without having to manipulate or without having to feel afraid. Don't ever shh about sexual harassment in the workplace.